Hi, welcome to another Revenue Hub video series. Following the success of our AI series in the summer, please do check it out if you haven't seen them yet, we decided it would be great to get our expert partners' views once more. In the spirit of this time of year, we've asked them to predict what 2026 might have in store for the hotel industry. Now, through these videos, we are not inundating you with please subscribe and please like requests. You guys know what to do. But we would be interested to hear your thoughts on the predictions. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are your predictions? Anyway, hope you enjoy it, and thanks again to our expert partners for taking part. Let's see what their predictions are. Hey, welcome to our 2026 Crystal Ball Predictions video series. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and talk to us about what you think could be happening in 2026. But before we get into that, how are things for you guys? Busy times?
Yeah, really busy. I mean, we're growing leaps and bounds. We've got a lot of new hotels coming on board. It's been a fun time. It's gonna be a great year. We'll set a record for revenues and new hotels coming on board. So
Nice.
really happy.
Can't ask for more than that.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant. Okay, well let's not hold you up. Let's get straight into the predictions. Prediction number one. What have you got for us on that front?
Well, the one thing about predictions, whatever I say, will probably be wrong, and you'll record this so you can kind of hold me to it.
I've already put
I
a
think.
diary date for 2020 into 2026. We'll come back.
Well, I mean, look, and I don't want to do the AI thing, but I do think AI will continue to change the way we work. I think as hotels, adopt greater AI, I think we'll be able to maybe get to total revenue management.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it for years.
Well, I
Hotels
can
have
adjust.
focused on rooms revenue because they're still pulling data. They're still the directors of revenue are still doing a lot of the same stuff they were doing 20 years ago. So I think AIs, new platforms like Flyr allow you to free up your time. It
Mm-hmm.
does a lot of that work for you, so you can do the insights. I think it will change the way we work and forecast, and hopefully makes it better for not just the hotels and the owners, but the customers as well. Because if you're offering the right things, like cabanas and all that stuff at the right price, it should generate additional revenue, but also additional satisfaction.
Well, if total revenue gets cracked next year, that would be. I don't know how many years. It's got to be. I don't know. I may be exaggerating if I think 15 or so, but I've
At
probably been.
least,
Yeah,
at
I've probably
least.
been hearing the what was interesting, and following on from that, and hopefully I'm not stealing any of your thunder if you're going to talk about it later, and if you are, just say, "Oh yeah, I'll get to that." But total revenue has been spoken about for, as we say, at least 15 years. Coming out of the pandemic, profit was a real hot topic.
Yeah.
And so where do you think profit and do you think kind of those two things will end up appearing concurrently? How do you see that playing
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, owners are trying to maximize the asset, the entire asset, and for years, and I worked for brands that they get paid on gross room revenue, so
Mm-hmm.
their focus is room revenue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think now there's been coming together, and people are focused on maximizing the revenue for the entire asset, but also on the profitability. And even when I was with Ambridge Hotels, my mission statement for the revenue teams was drive profitable revenue.
Yeah.
That was it. It wasn't this
Not
long thing.
just
It was like
revenue. Yeah.
it's got to be profitable. You got to drive it, and revenue is what the revenue team is responsible: sales, marketing, and revenue management. But it's got to be profitable.
Yeah.
And I think there are more and more solutions out there that allow you to look at the profit cost of sale, cost of service the rooms. There's business intelligence revenue management systems that have that built in, and if you're not using that or don't have that, you need to start looking at it. At least do it manually if you can't afford a system, but you've got to look at profitability of a reservation.
Well, particularly in light of what's been coming out over the last week. I mean, the US market, they're talking about a slowdown or a stagnation rather than a kind of a regression in terms of rates. It feels as though people have got to a point where, okay, that's probably the ceiling that we could be charging now, but your costs aren't slowing down.
now.
they're increasing at a rapid rate. So your margin is now getting squeezed and likely to get squeezed even more. And it only takes a couple to start
Yeah.
blinking and start reducing rates if they start to see that they're not getting the pickup that they want, and then all of a sudden we're in a really interesting space. What's your kind of view on that? Linking that space together.
It definitely. I mean, let's leave ultra luxury out because they seem to be
They're in a
immune of
different
everything.
world.
But look, the average person's under some pressure, and with their own life, and it depends on where you are in the world. Believe it or not, energy costs in the U.S. are going down, but everything else is going up, right?
Yeah.
So, in Europe, it's somewhat different.
Yeah.
But I think the headline is we still are going up, and we're going up again, ahead of the inflation rate that I know the Fed wants of 2%. We're about 3% in the US right now,
Yeah.
down from 9, but still up, and it's hurting people. And I think we had a great heyday after COVID, and we really pushed rates up, and then you see cracks in that. You see people revolting against Disney, and kind of pushing back on, wow, it shouldn't cost that much to go to a hotel. So I think you will find people search for value.
Yep.
People might drop down from a 4-star to a 3-star hotel. That always happens in a downturn.
Yep.
I think it's going to be interesting and I don't think it's a downturn, but I think it's a leveling. It's going to be, I had lunch with a hotel group yesterday. Meh. Just kind of, maybe down 1 or 2%.
That's not the fact that I'm having lunch with you. It's
no, not the lunch. But we were talking about what the market was doing, and it was, maybe down 1 or 2 points. Upper upscale group. It was, they weren't thrilled. They were worried about the cost and the margins. So, I think that's why we're going to have to ask, and you go back to maximize revenue. Take a look at what else is out there, and
every single revenue stream that you can.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, prediction number 2. What have you got for us?
I thought there was a couple in there. I just told you what the market should do.
I just stolen some of your thunder.
I think you might have. Look, I it was going to be on profitability, so maybe we did go into it a little bit more, but it was on with markets changing and not really growing the way they have over the last couple of years. I do think profit's going to take a bigger piece, and go back to total hotel revenue management. What can you optimize? What can you manage in the hotel? What can you sell? It's easy in a resort. You have cabanas or spa, and you'd be surprised how many hotels or resorts, the cabanas are managed by the activities director out at the pool.
Yeah,
and then just set price once a year. They said
that's just
$300, and that's it.
Yeah,
that should be revenue managed. There's a lot of things that you need to take a look. I know that with some of the new POSs, you can go ahead and change pricing on your food. You can do things day by day.
Really?
So
wow.
you can. It's much easier than it used to be. There's digital boards now, so menus aren't written. The QR codes that we've used since COVID have definitely made it much easier to change menu pricing. So I think all that needs to be looked at. It comes first with, I go back to my original. You need AI to free up time. We're not going to add more people.
Yeah.
But if you have someone's pricing, £10, euros, dollars different for next Tuesday. If you got a revenue manager doing that, chances are you're not optimizing your total revenue. The machine should be able to do that.
Yeah,
right
that
now.
should be taken care of by technology.
So what's the strategy? And when I'm talking about pricing, things like cabanas, we don't have the infrastructure as an industry yet. Everyone's on different systems. A lot of it's Excel spreadsheets. Some of it's actual still paper. You sign up at the cabana. It really is. It really is amazing. So I think, look, we did it in the early days where you said, "What's my occupancy? What's my rate?" You put some Excel spreadsheets together. I'm not saying we should go, but I think you need to start with the basics. If I asked most hotels right now what their occupancy, their ballroom is, or they wouldn't know the exact number. They have a good guess. So in order to really start doing, I think that the directors of revenue management should hopefully free themselves up for rooms revenue and start looking at the rest of the asset and spending time and effort doing that.
2 things just want to pick out of there. You were talking a bit about the F&B. So we're almost looking at dynamic pricing in a sense of how do you think How do you think that would go down with guests?
Well,
I
it's,
mean, we are extrapolating that out, and that may be an extreme
yeah,
example. But if suddenly you're going out for dinner tonight, and then tomorrow night you go out, and suddenly
yeah.
it's a bit cheaper or whatever.
Look. I think you need to, crawl, walk, run. We set rates right now in the restaurant. Once a year, whenever we print the menus.
Yeah, yeah,
Same thing with banquets. Banquet. You think about it. You said now a restaurant. If you have a person who stays, let's say is a resort, and they're there for 5 days, you can't change rates
no,
every day. That'll
no,
You can probably change them once a week,
yeah,
and the guests would be so. Can you go to a
yeah.
seasonal
You go
pricing?
monthly or seasonal or
Um,
something like that. Yeah, yeah,
banquets, if you're getting married this week, you're not getting married, hopefully, not getting married next week,
yeah,
the same person anyway. So you should be able to change these things up based on season, demand, costs. Your costs, your inputs are going up all the time, labor costs are going. So to change those things, I think you got to do it carefully. You don't want to, you know, have the customers feel like, hey, this is crazy, it's changing, because that isn't, people aren't used to that. Um, but an airport hotel where the average length of stay is 1 day, the person who gets a €4 coffee today, they're not going to be there tomorrow to get the €5
yeah,
coffee.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I've forgotten the second thing I was going to ask you. I'll come back to it. I'll come back to it if I remember it. Okay, third prediction. So we got to drag out
Yeah, no,
a third one
it's
from you.
fine.
Go on.
Labor is going to change, and I think the roles are going to change. Everyone's worried about AI taking their job. It's that, and you've heard AI is it's not AI that'll take your job, it's the person using AI that will take your job. That's somewhat true. AI is going to change jobs,
Hmm.
full stop. There are going to be jobs that just don't exist anymore, but there's going to be new ones.
Yeah, I
And if
mean
I knew what all
there
those,
used to be revenue analysts, didn't there? There's not going to be any revenue analysts anymore.
no, no, I mean, there used to be AGMs, there used to be assistants everywhere. There aren't anymore. There used to be assistants. Most
Yeah,
hotels, most companies don't have assistants anymore. So the jobs will change. And I was on at HSMAI. We did a past chairman type thing. They had every decade for like the last 4 decades, and a bunch of younger people in their mid-20s in the audience. Someone asked, how did you pick your job? What do you say? I said, well, 80% of the jobs I've had in my career didn't exist when I started.
yeah.
Right. So I don't know what those
That's
jobs will be
interesting.
in the
Yeah,
future,
yeah,
but look, I started as the first revenue manager at my company back in the day, first director of e-commerce. I did digital marketing. I mean, none of that stuff existed when I got out of university. So
yeah,
I don't know what all those things are going to be in the future, but I'm guaranteed there's going to be more opportunities. And the people who do embrace AI, and I did it by embracing the computer, believe it or not,
yeah.
and Excel and all those things. I think the people coming out is embracing AI, and hey, how do I use this and how do I get ahead? And I think there'll be new and innovative ways of creating guest satisfaction, creating value. I don't know what all those positions will end up being, though.
Interesting. I had a similar conversation yesterday, and it's funny that it hasn't really been touched on in the other conversations that I've had. So it's weird that within 24 hours, staffing has come up twice. Um, we were discussing that yesterday, and a kind of a poor analogy I came up with is at the moment it feels a bit like a hotel is like a toolbox, and you have individual tools for the individual jobs, and it, I'm wondering if in the future, rather than having a screwdriver, a wrench, a hammer, a saw, you actually, I mean, we have the Swiss Army knife. I don't know if one of these
Yeah.
multi tools. And I'm wondering if maybe when you're looking front of house, suddenly can you have one individual, but they're a multi tool where they can do different elements of the role that previously 4 people would have been doing. But now you might need 3 people, but cross trained, who can do the same job and can flex and adjust to depending on how busy the hotel and what is needed at the time.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly good analogy. I mean, think about 2008, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The phone.
phone
Yeah,
came
yeah,
about, and you think about all the things that all the different tools that you would need to do what that one tool does now,
yeah,
cameras and
yeah,
recorders and phones. I mean, computers, everything. So I think, yeah, it will morph. I mean, I'll tell you, front of house. I think you'll, uh, even things like housekeeping. Will things will be assigned better, and make sure that we can maybe get to offer more late checkouts and better use of labor because you have the housekeepers in the right place. Um, Concierges. Look, I think they'll be in high end hotels. There'll still be people who want to get handled. But when every desk clerk at a Hampton Inn or Holiday Inn can just be a concierge, and when the AI gets good enough for you to just say, "Here's the four best barbecue restaurants in my town," and I can push this button and book it for you.
Yeah,
I mean, that's increased service you would never get at a limited service hotel.
absolutely.
But once again, something that I think guests would like, and we make it easy to do, and we're just almost limited to no additional labor costs. So I think there's going to be a lot of those types of use cases that people come up with. And remember, it's taken us it's almost 20 years now with the smartphone
Yep.
to get where it does everything. It didn't do
Yes.
everything at first.
No, no, absolutely.
Um, but you'll I think we'll get there. I think it'll get there much more rapidly, just because I've seen the rate of change happen so quickly with what we're able to do. Even us. I mean, right now our platform, I can literally ask it a question: "What's my performance like?" I can have it develop spreadsheets, chart just from that question.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets, charts, give me visualizations, um, all in a push of a button. And that would have been much. You would have had an analyst. You would have had to maybe get someone to do SQL code to pull that out of the data lake. There's a lot of things that back house can do now.
And I
Um,
guess that would help in terms, I mean, I don't know. It all comes down to individual perspective. But I would think if I was being hired into a role where there was a good technology stack that I could utilize to help me be more productive, then I would feel that that's going to be a more enjoyable and rewarding role. I mean, it may have to fundamentally shift the way that we go about training, educating, and then recruiting, but ultimately it could lead to help in retention.
Yeah, the mundane and the drudgery, that stuff, it goes away. I mean, um you will have the tools be able to do that stuff for you. And just a small anecdote: I used to bring in their interns, and I'd give them some of the work that my existing team would quit if I gave them. It's like I have this one, and we trained him and we took him to events,
Sure.
and we did
Yeah.
do good things for him as well. But I always joke around with when I worked with Andrea Daniel. She was my intern. Now she's running a lot of stuff over at IHG. Um, she was an intern. I made her go through 3,200 GDS comp sets
Wow.
on single line paper because we had to validate 32. That was her summer project, and we took her to conferences. We got her involved in a lot, but she still gives me a hard time about it. Um, you know, but it's that I should be able to just stick into a computer now and have it spit out and say it's validated within 30 seconds. And she did a great job. It took her 2 months to do,
Yep.
but it was mind numbing.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
work had to get done. It was important work, but now I could just dump that into a computer and have it spit out the answers.
I'm interested to see how it will look in 3, 4 years' time and what a job description might look like, what people may define as what they want to hire. Because to your point there with interns, I mean, we're seeing it over in the UK. I don't know how much it is in the US, but we've seen a drop off of anywhere between 15 to 20% in industries of the graduate roles that they're hiring and intern
Yeah.
roles. And so suddenly what used to be your entry into the business and your grounding, it's how you learned how the business
Hmm.
operated and what the core functions are that were important, and suddenly you're not bringing people in through that route. So how are they going? How does someone
Yeah.
come into revenue management? You're going to be. Are you pulling in from other departments? Are they just going to come in from completely different industries? Well, it's going to be fascinating to look at what it
It
would be.
is.
This is the person we want. This is the experience we want, and how that will define the kind of individuals that are being brought into, say, a commercial department in a hotel in 3 years' time. I can't. I wonder if there's going to be a knowledge gap that may start to appear.
I think it's something, as an industry, as I think all industries probably need to really spend time thinking of, because those entry level roles are changing or going away.
Mm,
So how do you bridge that gap between university and 5 years into role?
yeah,
Um, that's gonna be hard. I don't think there's been enough effort on, and I think it's happening. AI is happening so rapidly, and then, like I said, just I know we can do in our own platform today is head and shoulders above what we could do last year at this
yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. That's the speed
Um,
is frightening, isn't it?
that's the speed. So even if you say, "Oh, we'll train people different in the university," well, that's by the time they create the curriculum, that's 6 years from now.
Yeah,
By the
yeah,
time people
yeah.
get out, so I think we need to, as a industry, as a society, really think through what happens with young people, and if the tools are doing the entry level work, how do we get them to learn and grow? Because we still need people to do strategy, interact, um, and move the business forward.
Yeah.
But you do need that grounding, and you do need that opportunity to learn.
That's the thing. How can you develop a strategy unless you understand what are the component parts
Right.
that go in there? And if you've been relying on technology to just squirt out a number of reports, you need somebody to guide you as to what it's showing and help you form those opinions. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
think a lot more will come down to probably training, mentoring, educating, that kind of thing. We will see. Lots to unpick. Thank you so much. Really interesting predictions. Sorry, across some of them. Your first
Oh no, that's
your
fine.
first
It's a
and
good
second one, but
conversation.
we rolled it all in together. So we got there in the end, which was the main thing. But always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found the predictions discussion interesting. If you'd like to see any of our videos from our Summer AI series, here is a link to that playlist. And if you've missed any of the other prediction videos, here is a link to that playlist. And finally, can I genuinely just thank you all for watching or listening to our content? It really is appreciated, and we look forward to bringing you more in 2026. Thanks so much. Take care.